1. Call me Alex. 5 circles as large as your hand spread wide, drawn in crayon, red, blue, green, yellow and purple. The circles do not need to be perfect, just do your best, the book read. It is best to use pieces of paper to help draw. Be sure that lines, which connect to one another, are touching and have not broken from each other. Use tape to keep the papers and lines together if it helps. In red, non-lead based paint, use your finger or hand to draw a circle connecting each point. Start from the outside of one of the circles and connect to the other. This does not need to be perfect and you may end up with a pentagon more than a circle. That is all right. In red marker, draw lines connecting each other, circle same as before. You should wind up with a star in your circle. Please note that if you cross over the lines of 5 colored circles, this will not ruin your chances of summoning the demon. Such things may even help in summoning it. Just do your best. Now prepare the following: a sharp knife, a container of milk, a plastic bottle with no label, a small plush toy with a broken seam and its stuffing hanging loose, a white terry cloth towel, a handkerchief of any make and a tube of red lipstick. The brighter red the better. Lastly, draw a picture of a woman with a house in the background and a yellow sun. Any additional things such as a blue sky, green grass, trees, flowers, and a car, as well as other additional items, may help in summoning the demon. The picture does not need to perfect, you merely need to put love in the picture. Lastly, the demon you will be summoning is a descendant of Lilith and gains power from the strong warm emotion of love. For one night, lie with each of the objects in your bed. You need not hold on to anything but the plush toy and bottle. Have the terry cloth near or on your waist. The picture, handkerchief, and lipstick on a nightstand close to the bed. It is important to keep the knife as far from your place of rest as possible and place the knife in the ritual circle. As you sleep, be sure to think of the things that make you happy. These can be happy memories of hobbies you enjoy. While you think of these things, think of what would be your most desired mother. If you have had a bad relationship with your mother or no mother at all, then your chances have greatly improved. The demon has a powerful maternal instinct and will wish to fill this void in your life. If you have had a good relationship with your mother, your chances are still good but dangerous. The demon is jealous of other maternal figures that could be in your life and will seek to replace them. If you cherish these people, it is best to quit now. After you have slept with the objects close, at any time of the next day, perform the ritual. You may place each object in any order into any of the 5 colored circles. However, your picture must be last. Recite the following and perform the actions as follows. Pour milk into the plastic bottle and recite, "Nourishment for myself that she shall feed me." Give a kiss to the stuffed toy and recite, "A favored toy, broken, that she shall mend for me." Fold the terry cloth 3 times into a square and recite, "Warmth and protection that she shall swaddle me." Uncap and place the lipstick in the circle. If it requires twisting to extend the lipstick, do so while reciting, "Her mark to brand my skin aplenty." Take the knife and make a cut on yourself and discard the knife. The further the better. Place your blood on the handkerchief and recite, "My flesh undone, her love shall mend." Lastly, place the picture in the center of the star. With your blood, make a heart around the picture and recite, "An image of her drawn my best." The following chant may be pronounced however you wish. Be consistent. Start by stamping one foot and shaking your fists in unison. Begin the chant. YMMOMYMT nor I. John did his best to use a Tuvan throat singing technique. This ritual was the most ridiculous the book offered, but it was the easiest to obtain all the ingredients. YMMOMYMT nor I. The other rituals in the book required specific daggers, chalices, expensive jewels, human bones, especially skulls. Ritual sites that were half across the world, and some even required human sacrifice. YMMOMYMT nor I. Yes, this was the simplest, and compared to one ritual that required masturbating for 6 months and climaxing at a very specific time, this ritual was better. YMMOMYMT nor I. He hoped this would work. John was a scrawny man with brown hair that covered his ears, peach fuzz for a beard, and a rather androgynous figure. He had been picked on it for many years for how he looked. It got under his skin when people made note of it, but he was able to shrug it off for the most part. It was last month, however, that broke the camel's back. John worked for a company in oil and gas leases. He worked long and hard hours to get a comfortable life. While even starting out, the pay and benefits were good, he wanted to climb higher. There was a position open for such a spot. He would get to be one of the people you would see when you searched the company name. He had earned that spot with his dedication and hard work. As his boss announced to everyone in the meeting who would receive the position, it was not John but the office layabout Jerry. John stayed after the meeting to demand why Jerry was picked over him. The reason? Jerry was better looking than John, and John was too feminine for a man. He looked like a bearded woman. Jerry had a strong chin, toned muscles, a thick, short and good-looking beard. The man was like an Adonis next to John, but that was all Jerry had going for him. The man was lazy, sleazy and performed the bare minimum. John, of course, was pissed over such a stupid reason, and so this ritual had to work. Revenge against the whole office, hell against everyone who ever made fun of him while he was at it. YMMOMYMT nor I. He shouted and stamped harder. Come on. YMMOMYMT nor I. He said it had been 15 minutes now and John was losing his patience. YMMOMYMT nor I. Come on. He roared and stomped. Sure, I hear you, sweetie. I am just getting ready. I will be there in a minute, a voice sang out, mature, warm and motherly. The room grew warm, very warm, but John felt cold, very cold. The voice came from the darkness of the basement. A pair of different colored eyes, one pink, one blue, both with a deep black slit for a pupil, lit up in the corner of the room gazing at John. The soft clack of hooves against stone boomed around the room as the demon began to appear. Her figure was obscured in shadow and John could only make out that something large was hidden in there. The ice suddenly fell as the creature shrank. The boom hooves became a soft click of heels on the floor. A woman stepped out from the darkness. The woman had crimson skin. Even in the poorly lit basement he could see how red she was. Curly chestnut brown hair she had tied in a bun. Large breasts that poked out from beneath a pale blue blouse and were restrained from a lacy black bra. Wide childbearing hips that helped create an hourglass figure. Plump thighs constrained beneath a pair of jeans. Her feet were a pair of cloven hooves that gave a firm clack on the cement floor. Each step she took ignited with a cotton candy flame that quickly died out. She noticed John staring at her feet for a moment. The pink and blue flames engulfed them like gas on a pyre, revealing a pair of slip-on sneakers. The demon looked down at the floor and smiled warmly. She picked up the bottle of milk and sipped at it. In the blink of an eye the milk was gone. She then plucked up the lipstick and applied it to her lips. She gave a small smack of her lips, then turned her focus to the stunned man. There. Now I am all set, she chirped, and then noticed the picture on the ground. She picked the picture up, an endearing smile on her face. She then turned the picture to John with a warm smile on her face. This is going up on the fridge. You are so talented, she chimed, and the picture was swallowed up by her flames. She cleared her throat and bowed to John. Hello, sweetie, for what reason have you summoned me? She asked. John stood there agape. The ritual worked, he could get his revenge. John smiled and did his best to stand firm. I want fucking revenge against my shithead boss and that fucker Jerry, he said. As he spoke he did notice the demon's eye twitch, but he pressed on. They fucking put that lazy no good son of a bitch in dash. John stopped as the demon gave a firm stamp of her foot and was before him, a finger extended at his lips but not touching. It seemed to strain against an invisible wall. A fury was in her eyes while she gave him a small smile. My oh my, what a potty mouth you have. Didn't your mother teach you not to swear in front of a lady? She said sweetly. Her eyes seemed to flash like fire to newfound oxygen, but then she lit up with excitement. Maybe you don't have one, she said giddily. I can't do anything about that right now, so I do ask you to try and keep the dirty words to a minimum, baby, she said and stepped back. Now how about we try again, and this time speak like a big boy. John began to breathe again after she stepped away. He hadn't realized he was holding his breath as fear ran through him. He even thought he peed a little. WWL, you see, I have this job and I work really hard there. They had a higher position open and well, they gave it to this lazy Asho dash. John stopped as he heard the demon's foot tapping and a very stern look on her face, arms crossed. Lazy person, he corrected himself, and her tapping settled down. Was given the position because he was better looking, and I look like a bearded woman, John explained. Oh sweetie, that is unfair. You are such a handsome little man and you say you are a good helper? How dare they not see such quality? You want me to make it all better? She asked with a tone of worry. John nodded, looking at her as she looked at him with a small pout. Okay sweetie, but first some nasty old paperwork, she said, speaking to him like he was a child. She produced a piece of parchment and a crayon. This contract states that I will deliver upon you, your request with extra flair. In short, I will not only get you the cushy little job, I will make it where you will be waited on for your every need. You will be the face of the company. Just sign and state your name, she said. John liked that idea. He felt he deserved that for how hard he worked and the injustice they set upon him. He reached for the crayon but stopped. What is the catch? He asked. The demon grinned at him, gave a playful laugh and sighed, looking as if she had been caught in a prank. In exchange, we will be playing a little game. You must follow a set of rules I will lay out and adhere to certain principles. Failure to follow them earns you punishments and disciplines that I will carry out at my discretion. If at any point you decide to quit your job, are fired, or decide you don't want to get that cushy job, I win. To which I will take you back to my little home and do whatever I wish, with you, to you. She explained. John thought about it for a minute, either the life of relaxation that he has always wanted or whatever hell this demon would make him do. John took the crayon from her and began to write down his name. Either refuse the offer and return to a hellhole, or accept and have a chance with the promise of an actual hellhole if he failed. He figured it couldn't be worse than his job. My name is John Cromwell, he said firmly. The demon's eyes lit up with an excitable fire and she grinned. With a snap of her finger, the contract burned away in a cotton candy-colored flame. In her glee, she clapped her hands and began to sing. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, his name is my name too, she giggled, and then noticed John with a confused and bewildered look on his face. The demon reached out quickly, ignoring that she startled John, and patted his head, her fingers running through his hair and gently caressing his cheek. She smiled and cooed as she felt him, ever joyful to be able to touch him. Had it been 100? 200, maybe a millennium or more since she last interacted with a human. She grinned and giggled with a mixture of mischievous and malicious, longing and love. Finally she calmed down and controlled herself. You may call me Alex. Chapter 2, Settling In. Rule number 1, I require 2 rooms. One will be for my beauty sleep, the other for special purposes. This basement seems perfect for the latter, so as long as you can supply the former, we are golden. Alex began. John had a spare bedroom in his house she could use, so this rule could be forgotten. Rule number 2, no entering said rooms without permission. John didn't like this as much, more for being denied entry to the basement in case he wanted to store something away or had to check the fuses and such. Rule number 3, I require moments of cuddling and snuggling for at least an hour every other day. I'm excited. Rule number 4, I am always the big spoon. Another rule that John could, if he had to play little spoon just to have fun with this hot piece, would be worth it. Rule number 5, I am allowed to add rules as I see fit, as long as these rules do not make the game unwinnable for you. Alex stopped and flipped a page on a clipboard. Those are the rules that apply specifically to me. Now for your rules. Rule number 1, no swearing, yelling, stomping, hitting, or anything that may be deemed as a tantrum. Whining is permitted but limited to however I see fit. Rule number 2, you will eat any food I put in front of you. Said food will of course be edible and will not harm you, make you sick, or otherwise endanger your health. I want my big man to be happy for his din-dins, not dreading it. Rule number 3, you will be required to have a bedtime of 9 p.m. I am allowed to change this depending on good or bad behavior. Rule number 4, you will be required to have a nightlight in your room. Do not remove this. Rule number 5, you will be required to dress however I wish. Any fussing and I may deem it a tantrum. Rule number 6, I will give you chores. Failure to perform these chores will result in immediate punishment. You will be required to follow all these rules. Reminder, I may and will add rules as I see fit. At times I go by a 3-strike or 3-count rule before any punishment is doled out. Sound fair? Alex asked. Fine, but those rules fucking stupid, John said and noticed her eye twitch. That's one. Alex chimed, giving John a smile. John cursed himself for breaking a rule already. If any of the rules were going to be hard, it was not swearing. John used swear words casually. The people around him never really got offended by it. He tried to not use it to offend people, which may be why they never said anything. How about we start things off with a bit of food and some TV? Get to know each other better, Alex suggested and moved close to John, an arm wrapping gently around his waist and pushing him up the stairs. John blushed as she escorted him, all while she gently stroked his arm. It had been some time since he had been so close to a woman, and the rule of cuddling her swam in his mind. He was more than a little excited at the thought of it happening soon. John helped Alex to the kitchen. She happily clapped her hands and made herself comfortable. In a small flash of pale blue flames, her outfit changed to include an apron. She now looked more like a busy mom than before. She examined the state of the kitchen. Piles of dishes in the sink and crumbs and stains covered the table. Alex simply smiled and turned to John. Okay, sweetie, can you do the dishes while I clean the table? The sooner you get me a nice clean pot, the sooner I will make us some lunch, okay? She asked. John gave a sigh and grumbled as he started the water and began to clean the dishes. Lunch was ready. John didn't get a chance to see what Alex was cooking. When he finished the dishes, she ushered him to the living room and waited. Alex walked into the living room with a set of bowls. Pink and blue flames danced about before John, creating small tables for Alex to set them on. John looked at the food. Macaroni and cheese? He asked. Mac and cheese. Alex burst with joy, snatching the remote away from John and shoving a fork to replace it. Alex turned the channel over to some children's cartoons and with a sigh began to eat. John took a bite of his food. It was good, but the scene felt childish. Why are you watching this? He asked. We are watching Blue's Clues. I love putting on these shows. You should find them interesting too. We will be watching these at lunch every day, Alex said with a big smile which turned a bit mischievous. Let's make that a rule actually. You can watch whatever in the morning and evening, while at lunch we get this small moment of time to enjoy these kinds of shows. She said. John gave a huff. Alex was already starting to establish her place here. When are you going to improve my job? He asked. I need time and power, sweetie. Speaking of which, after lunch I will set up my rooms, and after that you and I will have a nap, she said, and then moved close so her lips were close to his ear. A bit of cuddling, maybe even heavy petting. Become familiar with each other, she whispered, her hand gently rubbing his thigh. John began to hurry to eat. The sooner they were done, the sooner to the promised fun. He finished his food, but Alex was taking her time. John watched as she slowly ate her food. He tried to go find something else to do, but Alex stopped him. He sat there half watching the show, half watching her. She must have used some kind of magic because he was more desperate than ever. Alex seemed to get joy out of watching him squirm. She deliberately made small moans, licked the cheese off her fork in an overtly sexual manner any way possible to exude the small part of her nature. By the time she was done, it had been maybe 4 shows worth. Okay, if you can set the couch up for a small nap while I dash. John was half across the room and gone before she could finish a sentence. Alex went about setting up her 2 rooms she wanted. It didn't take long. With the bit of power she had left, she would need a long cuddle session to get back what had been used today. John was waiting for her when she returned. He was far too eager for this. Alex settled into the couch and pulled John down with her. He moved in to kiss her, but she stopped his lips from reaching hers. We are just cuddling, she said. My goodness, settle down, is this how you would treat a normal girl? She asked. She knew he couldn't help it. Her aura as a succubus wasn't terribly strong, but it was present, enough for man to want to get close. Stop, she spoke firmly and demandingly while she held his chin, looked deep in his eyes and held him there. If I let you get all that pent-up energy out, promise to be a good boy and listen to mommy. Now let's try this again. They were given a pair of pajamas, blue for him and pink for her. Alex settled onto the couch and pulled John down with her. She held him close and situated herself. Comfy? She asked. John nodded. She gently stroked his shirt and rubbed his back. Just close your eyes and get some rest, she said and began to hum a lullaby to him. Why are you singing? John groaned. Sure, you had your fun, let me have mine, just try and sleep, she said softly and resumed her song. This was where Alex gained her power, comforting someone, her fingers combing their hair, a hand gently rubbing their back, settling in for a nap. She produced a stuffed bear and placed it on his arms. John groaned but she hushed him. Just hold it, that's a good boy, she whispered and began to sing again. After a time she soon fell asleep. John awoke on the couch, something was in his arms, something soft and squishy. Still feeling a bit amorous, he gave it a deep squeeze as he thought of the passion he shared with Alex. Yet what was in his arms was not her. Oh, came a soft quiet voice. John quickly turned about to look toward the sound. Alex was standing over him grinning, a look of joy and love on her face. Hello. Did you have a good nap? She asked. John was a bit confused and looked about. He was covered in a space-patterned blanket and a stuffed bear in his arms. He tossed off the blanket and threw the bear away as he sat up. He was still dressed in his PJs while Alex sported a button-up blouse and jeans with sneakers. I guess, he grumbled seeing Alex beaming with joy at him. Well, that little bit of cuddling really helped energize me. I am all settled in and have begun my end of the deal. She said. So how soon can I get that promotion? Results may vary, I need time and power, and one little cuddle session is not going to be enough. You should be receiving an email sometime soon about a wonderful happy vacation in lieu of your promotion. It gives us more time to cuddle. Alex explained, a vacation did sound nice. John had been working his ass off for a few years and didn't take much time off. Although vacation would be nice, that promotion was far more important. Sounds nice, but how is this going to help? If I am not at work, how can I get that promotion? He asked. I can't explain every little detail, for now, just understand, cuddling equals nourishment, nourishment equals power, power equals you win. The demon said, her baby blue and pink eyes flashed with glee. John mulled over what she explained. He also got the idea that more power she gained also meant she could win. So then how many times do we need to cuddle for this to work? He asked. Ask a girl her weight while you are at it. Just relax, I will fulfill my end of the bargain, I am bound by the contract just as much as you are. All you need to worry about is playing my little game and not breaking my rules. Alex then clapped her hands together. Speaking of which, let's play a game. After that we will have dinner, wash up, then bedtime. Alex said. What game? John asked. Just a little card game, with consequences. If I win, I will ask you to do something for me, and if you win you can ask me to do something. You need to win first, Alex grinned. The game was with each card having a small ability to help extend the game. John had a handle on the game for a while, and every time he got close Alex would snatch his victory away. He soon realized Alex with her little demon gifts would always have a trick up her sleeve and would play dirty. He could never catch her in the act of cheating if she was at all. In the end it was Alex who won. She reveled in her victory and admired the lasting anguish as John began to think exactly what she would have him do, or be done to him. After several minutes of wallowing in his thoughts, she decided to announce what she wanted. She produced a razor and set it down towards him. Shave yourself, all but the hair on your head, she told him. That's it, get yourself nice and smooth all over, and if I am satisfied with the result I'll even give you a reward, Alex said. John took the razor and headed for the bathroom. He shaved every bit of hair he could reach until it was all gone except for what was on his head. There wasn't much of a change, but his lack of beard made him look younger and more feminine. The whole reason for the beard, his lack of pubes, helped make me feel that as well. He didn't want to, but he wasn't going to argue against a demon. Alex rapped on the door. Sweetie, let me see. I wanna make sure you did a good job, she called in, and the door slowly opened. Alex smiled wide at the sigh of all his hair being gone. Such a good boy, she whispered in his ear. You know, if you were a bit shorter you could pass for a little boy. Alex felt him stiffen a bit and continued her effort. And you have such pretty long hair, and nice body, you could pass for a girl. No. You sure? Doesn't sound very honest. You did a good job shaving your body, so smooth now like a girl, like you have done this before, she said with a smirk. You earned this, sweetie, don't push away. You want to make come mies? Why yes, John whined. Yeah. Are you gonna be a naughty boy and make squirties all over the floor for mommy to clean up? No. Naughty boys do like to lie, sweetie. Don't you want to make come mies? Yes. Then beg like I taught you. Please mommy, I wanna make squirties. Humiliated and spent, John sulked in his room while Alex cleaned up his mess and made dinner. Sweetie, dinner is ready, she called up to him. John came down a moment longer and looked at what was served for dinner. Spaghetti and meatballs. Alex sang and noticed John's sullen expression. What's the matter, sweetie? She asked, only for the reply to be a glare from John. Don't pout, you were liking it. No, I wasn't, John grumbled. All right, cranky butt, finish your food and wash the dishes. I think you need an early bedtime. What? That's not fair. You humiliate me and then say, go to your room. John yelled. You are tired from today's events. I mean, you summoned a demon. That boo-boo takes a bit of energy. Not many can be so reckless. You threw a tantrum to get my attention, which I am sure was exhausting. Plus the little fun before your nap and the little bit before din-dins. It is understandable that you might be a bit cranky. Alex said. John glared at her. Fine, but screw the dishes, he growled. That's fine, you can leave them to me. You don't need to be a big boy and finish your chores, I understand. Alex grinned at this. John stared at her down. Do your worst, he said. Alex gave a short laugh, her smile as wicked as hell, her eyes lit with amusement and glee. If I did my worst, sweetie, I would be giving you what you wanted without compensation. No, I am going to do my best. At my pace, slowly I will make you realize how little you need that job, that your desire for that promotion is meaningless, she said, then gave a joyful sigh and smiled sweetly at him. If you are truly not going to finish your chores, then you can go to bed, but... Alex got up and walked over to him, sliding a finger along the table and up this arm. Best we have you wear something appropriate. She then flicked her finger along his pajamas like striking a match. Pink and blue flames burned at them for a moment. When they calmed down, John was in a set of superhero PJs. What gives? John yelled. Alex smiled and began to usher him toward the bedroom. He tried to resist, but she was far stronger than he was, demonically so. You don't want to be a big boy and do your chores. No big boy PJs for you, young man. Now off to bed. I can come tuck you in and read you a bedtime story if you want. Alex said she was a bit hopeful that he would say yes. No, I can do that myself, he said, and found he was ushered into the bathroom. Alex made him brush his teeth, then took him to his room where she installed a nightlight. I don't need a nightlight, he said. Alex gave him a sly grin. This is part of the contract, sweetie, so I must insist. She said, came over, and although he didn't want it, she helped tuck him in and gave his forehead a small kiss. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, but if they do, then take your shoe and hit them until they are black and blue, Alex sang softly as she walked to the door and softly closed it. John felt drowsy all of a sudden, and at the soft click of the door being closed fell deep into sleep. Chapter 4, Just a Dream. Can you answer the question, Jonathan? A mature voice asked. John looked up to see an older woman in a suit behind the desk. On the desk before him were several notes and paper covered in various numbers and signs that John could only guess was some form of calculus. John stared at the paper for a while, the numbers moving and the signs changing. He couldn't get a grasp. "Come on, honey, you can do it," his mother encouraged. John looked up at his mother. It was Alex, dressed in business casual attire. She smiled warmly down at him, getting him to focus on the paper before him. I can't. It's too hard," he whined. Alex gave him a soft smile. If he doesn't know basic math, it would be best if he was placed in a grade that reflected that. "How does he do with other children?" the principal asked. "He is very shy, partly because of his lack of potty training." "Mommy," Alex said. John looked at her, betrayed how she could say such things. He was potty trained and he was a big boy. If that is true, then he is most suited to daycare, where he can get used to other kids and learn how to use the potty, the principal said. Their conversation became a blurred mess and voices droned to unintelligible mumble. The next thing John knew, he was standing before a very colorful door with laminated cartoon characters made from paper plates and drawn with crayon. He was led into the room by Alex, who introduced him and handed off some paperwork. "Mommy will be back later, sweetie. You behave and be a good boy," Mommy said, gave John a kiss on the forehead and left him with the daycare attendant. "Okay, Johnny, are you ready to have some fun?" the nanny asked. "Before we get started, let me check your pull-up." She pulled John close and pulled the elastic on the back of his pants. She gave a small "oh" and let the elastic go. "It seems you had a messy accident, sweetie. Come on, let's get you cleaned up," she said, and led him over to a changing table where she lifted him into it and began to remove his pants and pull up. "Wait, pull up." He wasn't a toddler. The nanny wiped at his bottom and cleaned him up, applying a bit of baby oil on his bottom and producing a diaper. John began to squirm. I don't need diapers, I need pull-ups," he told her. Even though he didn't need pull-ups either. "I know, sweetie, but it is a rule here. If you make a poo-poo, you are placed in diapers for the rest of the day, and we tell Mommy you failed potty training today," she said, and began to unfold the diaper and slide it under his bottom. He felt the soft cushion of the diaper on his bottom, followed by the cool sprinkle of baby powder. As the nanny taped the diaper to him, he realized the diaper was pink with pictures of princesses on it. Hey, wait, these are girl diapers." "I'm a boy," he yelled. "You are," the nanny said, surprised, and looked at a clipboard. "It says here you are a girl, named Jenny," she said, and gave a small laugh. "Mommy must be silly. She marked off the wrong stuff and her handwriting isn't very clean. See," she said, showing the clipboard, but all the words and checkboxes were like a foreign language. At best he could read the poor handwriting. The top, which was supposed to read Johnny, but the O looked like an E, and Mommy had forgotten the H in his name. "We will have Mommy correct that when she gets back, but for now, I must follow the rules, and this paperwork says you are a girl, so I will be treating you like one, Jenny," the nanny said, and removed the rest of John's clothes. "And there is a dress code for all students and charges." The nanny then pulled out a frilly white dress and pink bow. "No, please, not that," John begged, and the nanny smiled at him. "Sweetie, all little girls wear this. It is either this or I treat you like a baby. Which is better?" "Anything but the dress," he said. The nanny took the dress away and pulled out something else. A light pink onesie and some other things. John was about to refuse those as well, but the nanny simply shoved a pacifier in his mouth that he began to greedily suck on. He tried to spit it out, but every effort resulted in the opposite. "Oh, are you happy with the pacifier? Maybe we should move you to the nursery full-time so you can be a baby. Normally that pacifier is spat out by kids who are a bit older." She the onesie which had colorful blocks on it that spelled, baby girl. He was also given matching mittens and booties. After he was dressed, John was taken over to a crib and forced to lay down in it. Now you have been a bit cranky, so I think a bottle and a nap will do you some good, baby Jenny, the nanny said. John was soon given a baby bottle that he couldn't help but drink down as if it was water in the desert. Wow! Look at that, it normally takes a bit more coaxing for the little ones being punished like this. Since you seem to love it so much, we will be moving you to the nursery. He soon felt his eyes grow heavy and he hoped he would wake up from this dream. John did wake, but he was still in the crib, still dressed in the pink onesie. The nanny retrieved him and for the rest of the day he was made to play with other babies. The day went by quickly and his mother soon came to pick him up. As the nanny handed off baby Jenny, John noticed how happy mommy Alex was to see her baby girl. John was soon carried down the hall and began to feel his diaper grow warm and heavy. Well, I guess it's true, you do need diapers, sweetie. That's okay, honey, mommy has a nursery all set up for you at home. We will get you home, change into a new diaper, and a nice bottle of milk for you. It's okay, sweetie, you can be a baby for as long as you want, she said. John held close to his mommy, unable to stop a warm log from entering his diaper. He closed his eyes knowing mommy would take care of it. He wanted to be a big girl, but it was obvious he needed diapers, so a baby he would remain. John awoke with a start. Mommy, my dash, he gasped, but the sound of his voice cut through his thoughts and he stopped. He wasn't sure what he was about to say, he knew his dream influenced it. He was back in the waking world, but he tried to remember the dream. Alex was in it, she was a figure he loved dearly and he couldn't remember. He looked around the room and saw Alex there with a big grin on her face. You were saying? She asked. You called me mommy, she cooed. John thought back on the dream. He could barely remember anything, it was so fuzzy. No, I didn't, he grumbled. Alex shrugged and began to pick out a set of clothes for him. John shifted out of bed and as he removed the covers felt a cold wetness around his waist. Oh no! Alex gasped. John looked to see that he had wet the bed. Panicking, John tossed the covers back on and turned away from Alex, burying his face in the pillows. Alex almost as quickly moved onto the bed and gently began to rub his shoulder. Hey, it's okay, come here, she spoke softly and did her best to pull him back around. John resisted her attempts, but she was persistent. Come here, it's okay. Shan trying to pull him into a hug wouldn't work. Without outright forcing him with her demonic strength, she settled for giving him a hug and resting into him. There is nothing to be embarrassed about, it was just an accident, she said. A mumble came from within the pillow. I can't hear you, can you come out of there? She asked, and John moved his head just enough so his mouth was free. You are going to make me wear diapers now, aren't you? He asked grudgingly. Alex gave a soft chuckle and patted his shoulder, which turned into rubbing his back. That would be fun, she admitted, but I would start with a scheduled potty time before bed and a pair of good nights. She explained. This was just an accident, sweetie. Do you know how much stress you actually have placed on yourself? You summoned a demon, a being of great and terrible power who you made a deal with for your very existence. Did you even notice you, not once, used the potty yesterday? Your body was tense and finally after going to sleep it could relax and you were exhausted, so you didn't wake and nature took its course, she said. John appeared from the pillow and looked at her. She gave him a sincere smile as he became less flustered. It is embarrassing, he mumbled. Embarrassing, yes, but not something I am going to punish you for, because they are your bed sheets. I know you are a big boy and can change them yourself, she grinned, gave him a hug and stood up. Now get cleaned up and ready, I will get breakfast ready, worry about your bed a little later. With that she left the room. John did as he was told. He took a shower, changed into the clothes Alex set out for him, surprised to see it was something he would normally wear, and headed for breakfast. Breakfast today was pancakes, bacon, sunny side up eggs, toast with jam and a mug of coffee. John was rather happy with this. Today was nothing special other than him having to clean the sheets. Alex didn't say a word to him, only smiled at him and carried on cleaning the house. However, he could see her eyes seemed to tell a different story. "You made pee-pee in the bed," they seemed to sing. "You will need Pampers in bed from now on," they teased. "Can I even trust you to stay dry during the day?" they mocked. He wasn't sure how much he could take. As lunch came about, Alex served chicken nuggets and carrot sticks, turned the TV on to some kiddie program. John looked at her, wondering how much she truly loved teasing him about his morning accident. Alex turned to look at him. "Can I help you?" she asked, curious as to why he was staring at her. John could hear it again from those odd-colored eyes. "Do you need the potty? Do I need to put you in diapers?" It was the last straw. "I get it, I peed the bed, that doesn't mean I need padded underwear," he yelled. Alex jumped and was taken aback by his sudden outburst. What? "I know, I said it was just an accident." "Yeah, you said that, but I can see you are thinking otherwise," he interrupted. Alex scowled and placed her hands in her lap. "You need to calm down. I understand it was upsetting for you, but I have not been thinking other thoughts. Maybe it will be best if you take a nap," Alex suggested. "And right there. You keep treating me like a child. You make this children's food," he yelled. "John, calm down for just a moment," Alex said in a stern tone. "You give me teddy bears and nightlights." 1. Alex glared at him as she began to count. "Make me wear children's clothes and tuck me in like I'm 6. 2. Then I have to go to work dressed like a 10-year-old. 3. In a flash, Alex grabbed John by the forearm and pulled him over her knee. She yanked his pants down and delivered 3 firm strikes to his bottom. She then swung for a 4th but gently rested her hand on his thigh, her hand straight as boards, so he understood this hand wasn't going to be playing. John was quiet, shocked. "Say, what just happened? Now, are you going to listen?" she asked, but didn't wait for a reply. His silence was all that was needed. "I explained this to you, Jonathan. Summoning a demon is stressful to humans. Our presence is unnatural to this world. There is a reason most rituals require such extreme rules and sacrifice. They are deterrents. They are meant to place doubt and fear in you. But yours," John interrupted and was rewarded with another firm slap to his thigh. "Mama is talking, sweetie," she said. "Yes, mine is very relaxed when compared to all the others. I don't require blood, semen, killing or anywhere special or specific times. Do not think, however, that in my ritual I am not as terrible and powerful as any other demon." Alex then leaned in close to his ear. "In demon society I am actually considered noble blood. Do you understand what that means? You summoned one of the most powerful demons from the other realm." She let that linger on his ear for a moment. Her hand that held his arm let go and gently ran her fingers through his hair. After a moment she returned to hold him down and sat up straight. "Now here is what is going to happen, John. You are a bit cranky. I am going to give you 6 more swats on your bottom for being rude, inconsiderate and almost throwing a tantrum. Then you will be put down for a nap. From now on you will have a nap before lunch every day to help with your crankiness. And since you firmly believe I am treating you like a child, then I will make it true, starting with being tucked in every night and being read a bedtime story, understand? So without further delay, the first part of your punishment," she said, and began to firmly spank, with the last one being far harder than the previous spanks. Alex took John over to the spare bedroom as it was closer to the living room. Alex had made this her room. His mind raced on the thoughts of what all she altered to the room. His pants were left behind, strewn in the hallway. Alex swished a finger in front of the doorknob and then opened the door. The room was overall normal. The blankets were pink, a large bear sat near the head of the bed, and the room smelled of lavender and vanilla. Other than that, it was very clean with no real changes to it. Alex parked John in front of the bed and went to the dresser. She pulled out a pair of pink panties with a little now and matching pajamas. She set them on the bed. "Put these on." She spoke softly but with authority. "No. I will just get my own from my room." he said with a whine in his voice. I am not delaying your nap by another second, and you most certainly will not go to bed naked. Put them on, young man, or I will make this punishment worse. Her tone was more firm with a hint of anger. Not wanting another spanking, John put on the panties and slipped into pajama pants. Can I keep my shirt on? He asked. Since it was a cotton polyester shirt, he figured it was just as fit for a pajama top. You may, she said, and then helped him into the bed and tucked him in. She petted his head for a moment. I do these things out of love, sweetie. I want you to know that. I love you. I know we know very little of each other, but I love you. It's in my nature. Have a good nap. She gave his forehead a kiss and left the room. John settled in for a nap. The panties made him feel trapped. After a lot of shifting and adjusting, he got comfortable and settled in for his nap. John was surrounded by many beautiful naked women. He gave a sigh of relief. For once he was getting a normal dream. The women surrounded him, kissed him, and worshipped him. Their hands were all over him. Wait. John looked down. He wore a thick white diaper that crinkled as the women rubbed their hands over it. You really like your diaper, don't you? The women asked. They sounded like Alex. No, now that he got a better look at them, they were Alex. However, one by one the many Alex disappeared until there was just one. Doesn't this feel so much better than just a hand? Alex asked, still rubbing him through the diaper. The diaper must feel that good. The way it holds you like a hug, how soft it is against your skin, how safe you must feel knowing you could just go without ever knowing and it would keep all your mess inside. Yes. John gasped, trying to break free from her. Just imagine, if you were a baby, my baby, you could wear it every day. The adult fun would end, but you would still be in a diaper and it would still feel just like a hug, just as soft, just as safe. Alex whispered. Her hand had moved from his diaper, but his hips were thrusting into it now. Just a bit longer, sweetie. You can be an adult for just a bit longer, so enjoy your diaper as an adult for as long as that time remains. For now, wake up, John. John felt gentle nudging on his shoulder and sweet voice softly calling him. Wake up, John, Alex called. John groaned and opened his eyes. Wakey, wakey, nap time's over, she said. John rubbed his eyes and sat up. We fully rested, sweetie. Let's get you properly dressed. I'll warm up your lunch. I am sure you are hungry now, she said. John sat up and looked at himself. A dark grey shirt with light pink pants. As he undressed, he saw the panties and saw he was sporting a large tent in them. Alex gave a soft giggle. Did you have a naughty boy dream or? John shot her a glance and quickly went about removing them. You don't need to be embarrassed if you like them, sweetie. I'll let you have them, especially if there are naughty stains in them. It was a naughty dream. Lots of women I was having sex with, he lied. Alex smiled and her eyes seemed to say that she knew he was lying, but she said nothing more and handed him his pants back. John got dressed and once more they were in front of the TV with a children's show on and chicken nuggets on a plate in front of him. John got his bed all set up for later that night. Him and Alex spent the day relaxing. They played a game with no bets, to Alex's disappointment. Why do devils love making bets and contracts? John asked. Well, for one, it is their source of power, and two, I am a demon, not a devil, she said. You look like a devil. Don't be racist, Johnny. I look like this because of the contract. I must retain a human form. Whatever doesn't look human is, so I am not straining as much. Though yes, even in my real form I resemble a bit like a devil. There are stark differences. Such as? John asked. Alex shot him a glare. Ask a girl her measurements, Johnny. If you are that curious, you can forfeit the game and we can go back to my place and you can see for yourself, for the rest of eternity. She said with a smirk. So what is the difference? For what you can tell me. Well, for one, demons do not require contracts or bets to gain or use their powers. That book you summoned me from places me under contract first. Which is why a lot of rituals fail. Demons do not like being bound by contracts. Our powers are limited and we must follow a bunch of rules. So does that mean you wanted to be summoned? I agreed to be summoned, yes. Not very many humans are going to pick the simple childish ritual in a book of dark blood rituals and virgin sacrifices. Which such rituals are to tell you humans to not do them in the first place, and if you do somehow manage them, by Buddha's teeth you deserve whatever horror the sadistic mad ones devise for you in the pits. Yours isn't dark or horrible, it is why I picked it. Well, it's the odd one out. The book is full of dark horrible rituals, and by design and age the pages fall out a lot. Mine especially, which is by design. Tell me, when you came upon my ritual, what did you think? Like some child wrote it and left it there, he said. Exactly. Why perform a ritual that doesn't need blood sacrifices in a ritual book that has nothing but blood sacrifices? So the fact you performed it is impressive, and I was curious, she said. So be honored I didn't have to answer your summons, but I did. Now no more stalling, you landed on my boardwalk, so pay up, mister, Alex said. I damn well shouldn't, because you cheated to get boardwalk. John yelled as Alex giggled. Dinner came and went, and soon it was time for sleep. After a warm shower, John was joined by Alex in his bedroom, who had picked out his pajamas. Whether he wanted it or not, Alex was putting him in his pajamas as part of his punishment from this afternoon. She got him naked and presented a little something to him. Maybe just for tonight, you would want to try these. She revealed in her hands the pair of pink cotton panties with a little bow to him. I think you will like wearing them, and you were so cute in them for your nap and dash. John snatched the underwear from Alex, pinched one end between index and thumb, used his other thumb to help stretch them out, and aimed for the hamper across the wall. He adjusted to fire a bit high to scout for their light nature and elastic, then let go. The panties flew across the room and struck the lid of the hamper, falling down into the wicker basket, closing the lid behind them, a practiced shot he made many times with his own undies. Good shot. Fine then, I hope to convince you without making it a punishment. I really think you should get in touch with your feminine side, she teased. No, natter, nain, het, nay, non, nao, nu, nej, John argued. I will be sure to remember that, but you know I could say it is in your contract that I can dress you up however I want. Alex grinned, watching as the horror of realization crossed John's face. Please no, John whined. I am not going to. I don't want it to be a punishment. When you are out in a cute dress and dolled up as my little girl, I want it to be because you wanted it, but we will end the teasing here. Let's get you into jammies, Alex said. She sat him on the bed and worked to get him into a pair of dinosaur print undies, matching pajama bottoms and top. She shifted the blankets aside and helped him into bed, tucking him in tightly. Next, cotton candy flames erupted in her hands, revealing a book. Danny and the Dinosaur, see? Just like on your jammies, she cooed. John could see how much she loved this. He lay there and let her read him the story. As the thought about it for a punishment, it was mostly just humiliating. She could be whipping him, spanking many other horrible things, but no, she was just tucking him in for the night and reading him a story. After the story, Alex got up and gave him a kiss on the forehead. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bedbugs bite, and if they do, then take your shoe and hit them until they are black and blue, she sang and shut the door as he fell asleep. John stood in the vast cold white space of the vinyl bathroom. Sinks dotted the hills and tubs littered the valleys of this grandiose room. He wandered about, searching for the toilet. Every step he took, his bladder would fill and his bowels would churn. He needed to find the toilet. He knew it was somewhere. He had left the safety and warmth of his bed, traveled the temperate fields of the living room just to come to here, the cold bleak tundra of the bathroom. Had he stayed where he was, he would still be warm, but that was not where big boys went potty. Only babies could have the comfort of warmth and potty. He was not a baby. Just over a hill, John could see his goal now, a large porcelain throne where only big boys and adults could go. Soon he could have his release. Scattered before the toilet were small training potties, a trap for the weak-willed. It was tempting. By now John knew his bladder would fail and his bowels would give way. There they sat in droves, waiting for the desperate to pick them, to allow him to finally release the pain and pressure in his body. If he chose the. However, he wouldn't be called a big boy. John walked, his mind set and his goal before him. There came a low growl from somewhere nearby. John turned. There was nothing but the training potties. He approached one and the growl intensified until the small pink training potty leapt. St. John, sharp claws reaching out and teeth gnashing. John yelled and delivered a swift kick to the plastic potty. "I am going to the potty," John yelled in defiance. They wouldn't stop him. He wouldn't be a baby. He soon came upon the toilet, the seat of adults and big kids. John undid his pants and approached the porcelain throne. As John was ready to relieve himself, the toilet came to life. Many arms lashed out and grabbed John. They hoisted him high into the air and began to lower him down towards a gaping maw of teeth and rush of swirling water that would pull him into a back void. John struggled until one was free. He punched at the arms until they let him go. He fell and hit the ground, scrambling quickly to get to his feet and run. The toilet monster bellowed to the sky, his voice carrying across the vinyl tundra. All went quiet, but it wasn't long before John heard them, the many mini monster potties all replying, all hungry. John ran. Using the toilet didn't matter for now, surviving was the only goal now. He had to run as fast as he could, outrun them all. Maybe, he thought, maybe they will tire and it will be then that he will have his chance to use them. His legs, however, would not move. No, not like those dreams. He cried, one leg slowly raising, slowly lowering, dragging him forward even though he was pushing himself beyond his limits to go as fast as possible and faster. His legs refused to match the speed he needed. The potties would soon catch him, devour him, swallow him down in those terrifying maws that swirled like a cyclone down into pitch-dark emptiness. Yet there was one way he could live. It was off in the distance, but he could make it before the swarm of potties got him, a changing table. On it were diapers. If he could just make it there and wear them, he could survive. He didn't need to use them. He could trick the potties, wear one of them and say he was a baby, and then when their guard was down, relieve himself in them. John hurried and soon made it to the changing table. He pulled out a diaper and tried to figure out how to put it on. Magically it opened up and became sealed around him. It felt soft, it felt warm, it made him feel safe. If it wasn't for the frigid air of the bathroom, he could be in pure bliss. To be in his bed while wearing a diaper, warm, very warm, and no worry about wetting the bed or messing it. The toilets approached and John snapped from the daydream. "Look, I'm in a diaper now, okay? I'm a baby," he told them, but the toilets continued their approach. "I'm a baby. Can't you see I need diapers?" John gestured to the puffy, thick, crinkly diaper he was wearing. They still continued to approach. No, they knew John underestimated them. They were far more intelligent. Only an adult could trick them. "Okay, fine, I'll prove it," he said. He squat down. AD began to push. It didn't take long for a thick log of poop to enter his diaper. As soon as he felt it leave his body and mish against his diaper, his bladder soon followed without his command. His diaper felt amazing. Warmth blossomed around him that comforted him in the cold tundra. As his pee was absorbed, the extra squish against his butt tickled him. He was a baby now, and the toilets had no interest in a baby that couldn't use them. John was safe. John sat there knowing he was safe. He could go in his diaper without worry of ruining the many floors of the rooms. Yet he couldn't change into a new diaper. He didn't know how. Mommy did though, but Mommy was in another room and he wasn't sure where. He didn't mind. He was in a diaper and he would never need to come back here to relieve himself. He could travel the vast rooms in search of Mommy, foregoing any thought of needing the bathroom. Mommy might even find him, and she would change his diaper so he could travel the house for the next adventure. One day he may return to the bathroom when the rubber duckies returned for the warmer season and the tubs were full of warm water and bubbles. Mommy would be there too. She would help bathe him, and when the season would get cold, the tubs would drain and the rubber duckies migrated south. Mommy would take John across the bathroom. She would place him on the changing table and put him back in a diaper, and he would look across the vinyl and see the many potties and the toilet, knowing they would never come for him, not while he needed diapers. John woke up feeling bliss from such a pleasant dream. It had some scary parts, but it turned around and he hadn't felt so relaxed before. John shifted a bit and his joy turned to cold dread. His butt slipped just a bit in the mess. His jammies clung wetly to his leg. He fully relieved himself in the bed. Alex entered the room to wake John up. She could hear sniffling coming from the bed. She cautiously approached and slowly the smell came to her. She gently nudged John, who gave a whimpering gasp and his crying could be heard. He knew what Alex was going to do and the embarrassment of it all simply made him collapse. "Oh Honeysha, it's okay," Alex gently spoke. She rubbed at his shoulder and did her best to comfort him. "Come here," she did her best to roll John over and bring him into her arms more. He resisted and he began to cry harder. Alex smiled and pulled a bit harder. "Come here, come here, come here, come here," she sang and kept pulling until he gave and she could hold him in her arms. She rubbed his back and combed his hair, calming him down with soft shush and telling him it was all right. "Come on, let us get you cleaned up," she gently spoke. John only whined with an incomprehensible sentence. "No, you can't stay here, sweetie, it isn't good for you." John whined something again and sobbed more. "We will talk about that later, right now we need you cleaned up." Alex helped John out of bed, the stench of his accident even stronger unleashed from the bedsheets. Yet she didn't wrinkle her nose at it or tease him. She led him to the bathrooms and helped him out of his clothes. "See, can't you magic them clean?" John mumbled. Alex smiled, gently held his head and gave him a kiss on the forehead. "The easiest answer is not always the best answer," she said softly. She then sat him on the toilet. "Clean up what you can." John did his best to clean up his muddy backside, flushing in between a few rounds. When he felt it was sufficient enough, he stood up. Alex had been adjusting the faucet in the bathtub so the water would be perfect. "Just let me check," she said and gave him a smile. "What I am going to ask you may be embarrassing, sweetie, but if we want a good bath then we need to clean you up a bit better, okay?" John nodded, his embarrassment starting to turn to exhaustion. "Okay, then please lay on the mat," she said, gestured to a mat and wipes that had appeared. John gave a resigned sigh and moved to lay down. Alex gently sat down and began her work. She spoke softly, instructing John how to move and went about scrubbing every inch of him clean. She was quick and efficient and John could hear her hum to herself. It didn't sound like a sound more, she was keeping her cooing and comments to herself. Once she was done, she helped John into the tub. The water was warm and had some kind of oil in it. "Just relax, enjoy the warmth and let your muscles relax," Alex told him. "Let the bubbles take you away," she said. "Bubbles?" Alex snapped her fingers and John felt gentle thinking at his back. The tub was like a jacuzzi now with jets massaging at every part of his body. Bubbles began to form and overtake the tub. John relaxed. This was all around nice, the water was hot but comfortable, the jets released tension in places he didn't know were tense. John sank a bit deeper into the tub, letting the water wash over him and sweep away the stress and worries he had been holding on to. Quack! A squeak came. John opened his eyes. Alex was holding onto a small yellow rubber ducky and squeezing it near his face. "Quack, quack," it squeaked. Alex had a big warm smile on her face as she played with the rubber ducky. John glared at the rubber ducky. "You really can't help treating me like a child, can you?" he grumbled. "I told you I get nourishment from coddling and nurturing. If you had summoned a pure-blood succubus, she would be riding you until you were bone dry and the only thing left to squirt out is your soul. I am much gentler, I just need moments like this," she told him. "Quack, quack," went the ducky. "As I have said, let me have these moments and I will have power. Once I have power, you will have your office, an easy deal, don't you think? So it would be nice if you could try and enjoy the cartoons. It would be nice if you let me dress you and tuck you in, small simple things. Can you try that for me?" she asked. "I guess I can." "There we go. For now though, you just relax in the tub and play with Mr. Ducky, she said, handing him the rubber ducky with one last quack. John did as he was told. He relaxed in the tub and then gave the rubber ducky a squeeze to hear it quack. He started to enjoy playing with the ducky. He began to pretend his hand was a giant squid and would grab the rubber ducky, pull it under the water and launch it back out. Alex soon returned with a set of clothes and a big fluffy towel. "All right, bath time's over, let's get you dry and ready for the day," Alex said. John groaned, not wanting to leave the bath yet. He was really starting to have fun. Once dry and dressed, John headed for the kitchen to eat. Alex was busy cooking up breakfast when John noticed the clock on the stove. Panic rose through him and then he checked his phone. Monday, 9 o'clock, an hour after he was to be at work. "Fuck. I'm late for work," John said and scrambled to grab his keys, his phone, his wallet. On his way toward the door, Alex stopped him. "Out of my way, I fucking need to go to work," he yelled. "Calm down, I have taken care of it, go check your email," Alex told him. John was still in a rush. Alex had to push him toward her computer to get him to look at it. There was one new message which read, "Dear John, we have decided to give you one entire month off of paid vacation. We appreciate your dedication to the company and want to apologize for not awarding the promotion you rightly deserve. We know this is not enough to make up for the lack of promotion. We hope it does show our appreciation for your time and effort. Enjoy your vacation. Should you decide to vacation out of state, feel free to put any hotel and restaurant charges on company time." From David Whitaker. David was John's boss and John knew he wouldn't go this far for anyone, let alone John. John looked up at Alex. "This can't be real," he said. "Don't underestimate my power, Johnny. A little flick of the wrist here and twirl of the finger there. A late night visit as a personified night terror demon threatening to suck the soul out of the man if he doesn't give little Johnny boy an extra special vacation for the lack of promotion," she said. "You fucking did what?" Alex simply laughed at John. No, I just went to him, put on the succubus charm and charmed him. He believed I was your mother, so it was easy to promise him a few nights of a good time if he gave my little Johnny a little extra vacation time." John began to feel a flame of jealousy thinking of his boss with Alex. He was having sex with Alex while John was getting bath times and cartoons. "That's not fair, I summoned you. I should be the one to foo dash." John felt a finger firmly pressed on his lips. In his panic to get to work, he hadn't noticed a furious flame that roared off of Alex. "Careful, young man, if you said that word, that would be 4 bad boy words from that potty mouth of yours," she said. John shrank back, realizing now he was in trouble. He had said 3 bad words in the last few minutes. Alex grabbed his chin harshly, not a smile on her face, just a fierce look of anger. "You have such a dirty mouth, young man, move to the bathroom now," she ordered. John went to the bathroom and he sat down on the toilet as Alex presented a bar of soap. "We need to wash that mouth, maybe with a clean mouth we won't hear bad words." "I'm sorry, I was just in a panic and dash. Apologies are not going to cut it. You said those bad words, there is no excuse for it. If I don't punish you then you get away with it, and if you think you got away with it the last time, you can get away with it a second, or a third," she said. She then held the soap before him. "Now say, ah." John opened his mouth and in went the soap. He held the soppin on his mouth for 3 minutes before Alex made him wash all the soap out of his mouth. "Have we learned our lesson?" Alex asked. John simply nodded. "Let's hope so, now go play." John hurried off from the bathroom. John had breakfast and now with an entire month off from work he decided to start off his vacation with some video games. A few hours went by when Alex intervened. "All right sweetie, find a stopping point, it's time for your nap," she said. John gave a groan, paused his game and placed his console into rest mode. Once that was done, Alex set up his nap spot on the floor. They laid down together where she sang to him and combed his hair, cuddling until he fell asleep. After nap time was lunch. John did his best to watch the cartoons she put on. the characters frolicking about in their simple innocent world, solving easy problems and resolving things by talking. John started to see why Alex enjoyed them. You're probably forced to enjoy these shows if you care for kids a lot, he stared. I have always enjoyed these cartoons, but nothing brings me more joy than watching the little ones enjoy them. Glad to see you are paying attention at least, she said. After lunch was over, John found himself watching a couple more shows before he returned to his games. That was his day. It went by rather quickly as he enjoyed it how he liked. Alex gave him snacks, made sure he did some chores that he complained about doing mid-game. Dinner was served and it wasn't long before Alex was telling him it was time for bed. He changed into his pajamas, happy Alex let him wear his normal paitler. He was tucked into bed and read a story before she got up to leave. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, and if they do then take your shoe and dash. Hit them until they are black and blue. John finished her rhyme and saw her pink and blue eyes flash with glee. This seemed to really make her happy. She shut the door, leaving John in the glow of his nightlight, and fell asleep. Chapter 6, Boogie Monster. John woke in a cold sweat, his heart pounding. He wasn't startled awake by something in his dream, it was something else. He had that horrible crawling feeling of being watched. He looked around his room and noticed the door was cracked open. Alex must have come to check on him. Yet something didn't feel right. That is when he heard something, a crash, coming from the kitchen. John jumped up from his bed and opened the closet, grabbing a wooden bat he kept just in case someone broke into his house. He crept slowly down the hall toward the kitchen. He could see some shadow in the darkness. His eyes playing tricks on him as the shadows wanted to merge and distort the silhouette of the man. John reached for the light switch, held the bat firm and gave the switch a flick. For a moment, just a second, the flood of light revealed the man. No, this was no man. What John thought was the distorting shadows was actually the creature's many arms bending in several wrong places like a broken arm. Matted black fur that seemed to undulate about his body like writhing tentacles or thick black syrup. A massive head on a deformed spider-like body. 8 black pits for eyes, a wide mouth with many crooked sharp teeth and chelicerae, that was reminiscent of a mustache. The creature looked up to see John. It was only for a second, and the lights no longer wished to show such a monster, they went out with a pop. Triple AAHHHHHH, moaned the creature. An adult has spotted me, he spoke with a click-clack of a deep guttural voice and at the same time a sweet heavenly voice. John heard the creature sniff the air. No. CHHH33LLLDDD, joy and glee resonated deep inside the thing. On the way to the potty, little boy, little girl? It asked. Seems you missed it, it said. John began to feel water dripping down his leg. He was peeing himself. In the face of something like this, who could blame him? The creature let out a gasp and John ran back for his room. That thing would kill him. John stopped at Alex's room as he remembered he had a monster of his own. John pounded on Alex's door. Alex? He called. The door swung open quickly. A burst of cotton candy flames around her. What? She asked, scared for John and not upset she was so rudely awakened. THTH there's, John pointed toward the kitchen. Alex didn't need another word. Her flames danced around her arms as she headed for the kitchen. A moment went by and she returned, flameless. There was nothing there, sweetie, she said. But what were you doing up so late? She asked, concern and a hint of annoyance in her voice. I heard something in the kitchen and TTH there was this big monster and dash. Okay, calm down, she said, reaching to pull him into her arms. You had a horrible nightmare, come on let's get you cleaned up, she said, pulling him back to his room. She got him undressed and went about wiping him down much like yesterday morning. All right, keep your legs together, she told him, and he felt a new pair of underwear slid up his legs. He moved his butt so she could slide it on the rest of the way. As she was getting his dinosaur pajamas on, something felt odd. He wrote it off from tiredness, and soon Alex had him dressed and back in bed. She sang him a lullaby to help calm him down, and soon he was back to sleep. John woke up and shifted a bit. He felt something wrapped tightly around his morning wood. It was soft and warm. He couldn't help himself. He hadn't masturbated in a couple of days. Now he was feeling pent up. He began to imagine Alex. Sadly, sex was entirely on her call, but it wasn't going to stop him from daydreaming about her. It didn't take him long, and so long as he got his underwear into the hamper, Alex wouldn't know. There came a knock on his door and Alex walked. "Hi sweetie, I just wanted to check to see how you were doing," she said. "I'm fine," he grumbled, and watched as she began to move the bed sheets and started to tug at his pants. "What are you doing?" he asked, trying to find her off. "I wanted to make sure you didn't have another accident after last night," she eventually won, and tugged his pants down and giggled. John burned with embarrassment. "Well, I was expecting a different kind of wet stain, but I'm happy you like your pull-ups," she said. "Pull-up?" John looked down to see he was wearing the training pants. Worse, it was decorated with Disney princesses. "You put me in this last night?" he yelled. "Yes, I felt it was necessary considering the last couple of nights." "You said those didn't matter." "They were accidents from getting used to you." "John, you were very scared from your nightmare and I was worried you would pee the bed again." "It was to protect you." "Fine." John huffed. "But why?" John gestured at his new undergarment. "Why something so girlish? I hate how everyone mistakes me for one, and this doesn't help," he roared. "For one, it is adorable, and two, it was dark. I just picked one," she said. "I highly doubt a demon, and some royal one at that, has trouble seeing in the dark," John spat. Alex was starting to lose patience. She wasn't going to take his embarrassed anger for much longer. She grabbed some new pants and boxers for him and tossed them at him. "Get dressed, throw your pull-up away, and we can talk about this when you have calmed down," she said, and left the room. John stayed in his room for most of the day. It wasn't fair being treated like this. He spent his time on his phone under the covers of his bed. A soft knock came from the door and John sat up to see Alex there. "I'm sorry for yelling," John said. Alex smiled and walked over to him, giving him a big hug. "It's okay, you know I am just trying to help you," she said. "Come on, you should probably go potty and then it's time for a nap." John did as he was told. After his nap, things returned to normal. As normal as living with Alex had been. He spent his day saying games with Alex. Their day wound down and it was time for bed. "Did you go potty, sweetie?" Alex asked. John gave a resigned sigh at the question. "Yes," he groaned. "All right then, come here," she said, and revealed another princess pull-up. "I am not wearing that," John said, taking a step back. "Just for tonight, okay? If you can get through the night dry, we can talk about big boy undies for bed. You went potty, so there shouldn't be any need in the middle of the night, but bedtime is a lot longer than nap time and you could still have an accident," she said. "Can it at least be a different design?" John whined. Alex smiled and put the pull-up back, taking out one with cars, boats, and airplanes. "Better? But just so you know, if you wind up needing these every night, eventually you will have to wear the pretty princess ones." "I won't need them after tonight," John declared. Alex smiled and held the pull-up out for him to step into. He was dressed in his pajamas, tucked into bed, and read a bedtime story. "Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, and if they do, then take your shoe and hit them until they are back and blue." Alex shut the door as John fell asleep. The door began to creak open. John woke feeling a shiver run down his spine. "Triple AAHHHHHH," came a moan of a groan. John gave a whimper, recognizing the voice, both a deep whisper with a soft high pitch. "SSSUCH, a large room, not of a child. But I smell you, little boy, little girl," croaked the monster. John watched as his door opened wider and the thing's arms cracked and bent as they snuck their way in. Ah, the creature gasped as its big pitch-black eyes shone in the glow of the nightlight. The creature retreated for a moment. SSSUCH a SS SMARLL Light 4 SSUCH a big room, it groaned and began to work its way back into the room. SS so many dark corners, SSS SUCH a large bed. You will not be safe, little boy, little girl. John watched as the large thing crawled along the ceiling and into the darkest part of his room. Not wanting to let it catch him, he sprang from the bed and dashed out into the hall. He heard the creature screech and began to chase after him. Where was John to go, though? He didn't have time to wake Alex up. John went for the next best thing. He turned into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. He locked it and flicked on the lights. John backed away from the door just as he began to hear it scratch at the door. Its arms crookedly snaked their way under the door. They sizzled and smoked as the light burned at them. The creature screeched again and sent its arms in a desperate search for the light switch. John watched in horror as each new arm sporadically shit under the door, flailed on agony in search of the light switch and retreated back to recover. All while the thing screeched in pain and frustration. John began to cry, wondering how long this would take. Not long, as each new attempt was closer to flooding the room in darkness. The creature gave another screech, its arms retracted back, and then silence came after. After a few minutes, a gentle knock came from the door. "Johnny, you okay?" Alex called. John just sat there, scarred. The monster was trying to sound like Alex. "I am going to open the door," she said. John heard a click of the lock and the door slowly opened to reveal Alex. John was so happy to see her, he got up and ran to her, giving her a big hug. "Sweetie, what's wrong?" John sobbed and tried to tell her what happened, but all that came out was a babbling mess. Alex, however, was an expert with babbling incomprehensible languages of learning little ones and upset mumblers. "It's just another bad dream, sweetie. Can I check your pull-up?" she asked. John nodded and felt the waistband of his pants pulled down. "You are a bit wet, but at least you tried to make it to the potty, and that's what counts," she said. John was led back to his room where he was changed into a new pull-up. He made sure to check the design: suns, clouds and a moon. He was dressed and tucked into bed. John grabbed Alex's arm. "Will you sleep with me tonight?" he asked, scared the monster would return and get him. "Okay," Alex said, and climbed into bed with him. She held him close and ran her fingers through his hair. She sang softly to him until they both fell asleep. Chapter 7: Changes. There was no dream for John the rest of that night. He slept soundly and deeply in Alex's arms. He didn't even feel the urge to get frisky, he only wanted her close and comforted. As his mind roused to the morning, so did his body. He felt the warmth of Alex next to him. His head rested near her breasts. He couldn't help himself. He buried his face deeper into her cleavage and inhaled her scent deeply. He didn't feel the urge to hump at her, but the bliss of being close to her was strong. He began to feel Alex's fingers run through his hair again. She was awake as well and also enjoying the moment they were sharing. John wanted this to last forever, but it was not meant to be. A pain shot through John's bladder and he felt a squirt of urine escape. A cramp in his gut followed next, and it took a bit of effort to control his sphincter from opening wide for the poop. He had to go and beg Aunt to scramble out of bed. Alex, taken aback by the whole thing, wondered what was wrong. "I have to go potty," John said. Alex then began to help get the covers out of the way and let John get out of bed and run to the bathroom. On his way, he lost his pants as they easily slipped off. John succeeded in making it to the toilet. After he cleaned up, he pulled up his training pants and headed back for bed. Alex had met him in the hallway. "Good job, sweetie," Alex said, pulling him into a hug and patting his head. John smiled, feeling accomplished for making it. He rested his head into Alex's breasts, wanting to go back to bed and enjoy that perfect morning. Something was off, however. John pulled himself from Alex and looked up at her. Looked up. John's jaw dropped as he looked up at Alex. He had to be dreaming or something. He guessed he was about a foot shorter than Alex. This had to be a dream. How could he be shorter than her? Why am I so small? He yelled. Alex smiled and patted his head. I am actually surprised you are so small as well. Oh, but look at how adorable you are. Alex pulled him into another hug, like a mother who hadn't seen her child in years. John pulled himself from her arms. Why am I smaller? He began to panic. Well, it's part of the game, sweetie. The more you act like a child, the more you will become one. Don't forget that while I am going to help you achieve your desire, I am also trying to make you lose. Now we have a little time limit before things get really fun. You need to be an adult in a month before you go back to work. You do have, what? 2 weeks of sick days? Maybe you could argue you need to work from home. Done right, you might get an extra month. So wait, you're trying to turn me into a child? Into a baby? Oh Johnny, it is not like this is hard. A very simple deal, a very easy game. You are just now seeing that you are losing and the consequences of that. So just step up your game. She told him. All your rules are just going to make me lose, or you will punish me for breaking them, he said. And I can change the rules as I see fit. Now how about showing me you can win by getting dressed for the day, instead of walking around half-dressed? But by golly, you are so gosh darn cute. If that little bum was in a diaper, I don't know if I could contain myself. Alex tried to wrap him up in a high again, but he deflected her off and hurried to his room, leaving her to pout sadly at the loss of the hug. John got a firm reminder of who she was. She was a demon trying to take him away. John began to get dressed. He was going to prove to her he was an adult. Yet there was a problem. None of his clothes would fit him now. Alex knew this well, as she was standing by the door watching him as Hebel looked at a pair of boxers that were now too big for him. My clothes don't fit, he said, head hung low. Oh no, sweetie, you need new clothes. Alex said, fake surprise in her voice. I have a couple spare clothes you can wear. Which do you like more? She pulled out from nowhere 2 hangers with clothes. One was a simple blue and white striped shirt, with a pair of overalls with a picture of a bear on the front. The other was a yellow dress with white lace and pink bows. John took a step back as she presented them. Yet she also showed a trick he could use. Can't you just shrink my current clothes to fit me? He asked. I could, but I am not going to. As the rules say, I can dress you in whatever way I want, she said. A cold dread ran through John as both options left him looking childish. His eyes locked onto the dress. Between the 2 options he liked that one less. Alex took notice of where he was looking. Oh? Do you like the dress more? I was wondering when you would come around, she said. No. John yelled, I'll wear that one, he said, pointing to the overalls. Alex gave a sad smile and tossed the overalls on the bed. Why not try it for once? Alex pulled John over to a mirror and placed the dress over his reflection to see what it was like with him in it. Look how adorable you look. I don't want to. John yelled, pushing it all away. However, Alex remained firm and kept him close. Let's make a deal, little Johnny. Wear the dress all the way until nap time, okay? If you don't come around to the idea, we can change you back and I will stop until another day, she offered. John was ready to agree, but Alex slapped her hand over his mouth and smiled at him through the mirror. But if you go longer, say until bedtime, I will use what power I have to undo the changes that have befallen you, she told him. Her eyes gave a flash, however. But that is too easy, don't you think? She asked, questioning her own deal. Wearing a dress, being mistaken for a little girl for a day? If you are determined and stay cooped up all day, then what harm will there be? Why don't we go out to the park? You will play and enjoy your whole day as mommy's little girl. Absolutely no fuss. Do that and everything will be undone, Alex said. And you will stop trying to make me look like a girl, John added. He didn't want to do this deal, but to be back as he was and to get ahead of Alex's little game would be worth a little humiliation. If you can admit you had no fun while playing a girl, then I will forever stop trying, she said. Fine then, deal, John said. He saw Alex's eyes flash with glee. She excitedly began to remove John's clothes. For a moment John wanted to back out of the deal as his shirt was removed and the dress was brought over his head. Alex's hands guided his arms through the sleeves and his head soon popped out of the top. The dress was tied with a pink bow and before he knew it Alex was brushing his hair. John looked at himself through the mirror. If he didn't know better he would easily be seen as a girl. It was a fear made real. John fidgeted at the hem of the dress, his legs squeezed close together, and it was then he realized something. We forgot the he stammered and pointed at his crotch where he still wore the pull-up from the night before. We don't want to get your dress all dirty from an accident, sweetie, so we are going to leave your pull-up on, Alex told him. Look how cute you are, Jenny, Alex said, holding John close as she looked at him through the mirror. John was against this whole thing. He wanted to call the whole deal off and face the consequences. Yet he thought about how long it might take him to get back to being his old adult self and if he would make it before a month was up. This was the fastest way to get back to normal and he would see it through. So, what does my little girl say to a nice breakfast and then we head out to the park for some fun? Alex asked. Can't wait, John said, still staring at the little girl in the mirror. For the rest of the morning, nothing changed other than Alex changing John to Jenny and referring to him as her little girl. Alex was in high spirits, much higher than the previous days. John suspected she preferred carrying for girls over boys, but somehow that didn't feel right. After breakfast Alex packed a few things for their trip to the park. John did his best to avoid going but Alex ushered him to the car. What happens to my car? John yelled, his voice no manlier than the little girl he appeared to be. His rust bucket of a car was now a high-end minivan. Oh, did I forget to mention? I believe I said I had everything prepared, the 2 rooms I wanted, your extra long vacation, and I changed your little car to fit our new little family lifestyle. Alex opened the passenger door and stored the bag of things, then turned to John. Now let's get you buckled into your car seat, she said. I don't need a car seat, John protested. Sweetie, you are far too young to not be a car seat. This is for your protection. Alex went to pick John up but he backed away. I believe it is in the law that if I am above a certain age or a certain height I don't need a car seat. I am at least one of those things. Alex gave him a stern look, then summoned forth a book. She put on a pair of reading glasses and looked over the book. After a moment she closed the boom and it turned into a measuring tape. She measured John's height and frowned at the results. The measuring tape was snapped back up and her glasses were thrown away in a puff of smoke. Look at that, it says you need to be an age of 8 years old or 4 foot 9 inches. My little Jenny Wenny is 4 foot 10, so mommy can't buckle you in your car seat, if you really don't want to, she said. See, I'm an adult, John said and began to climb into the car and take a normal seat. You are still mommy's little girl though, Alex sang. The door was shut and Alex began to drive them to the park. Along the way Alex's complexion changed to a pale tone with only a bit of pink to it. John could see in the rearview mirror her eyes changed to a bright blue. Now she looked human. John began to feel the anxiety of humiliation flood through him. He wished he never took this deal. It's okay, sweetie, this will help you get over your shyness, Alex told him as they came upon the park. John could see there were not many people there, but like him and Alex, cars were just pulling into parking spots. Alex opened the door and she had to pluck John from his seat. Take mommy's hand, honey. Alex firmly grasped John's hand and began to lead him. They walked across the grass and past a couple families. They gave a friend good morning and Alex made John reply as friendly and loud as he could. John did his best to hide and in response Alex apologized for her shy daughter. They found a spot that wasn't too far from the playground. Alex wanted to be able to watch her daughter while she played. You go play, honey, I will call you when it is time for lunch. You won't be having a nap, so show me you can be a big girl and not get cranky, Alex told him, and shooed him off to the playground. John slowly walked toward the playground. The feeling of air blowing so freely between his legs made him feel as if he was naked. Every step he took felt like eyes were on him. John sat down on a swing set and gently rocked back and forth. He dared not actually take to the skies for fear people seeing his pull-up. "Hi," a voice said. John snapped his head up to see a young girl in a blue dress. She was probably no older than 10 with black hair and a bright blue headband. "My name's Sarah, what's yours?" she asked. John looked over at Alex. Even though she was far away under the shade of a large maple tree, he could feel her gaze on him, almost see the glow of her eyes piercing him, willing him to play. "Joe," he stopped. He couldn't say his real name, could he? Reveal to this girl, nay the world, that he was a guy dressed like a little girl. Progressive times these were, sure, yet it felt wrong to him, like a deep secret that once out would make him a laughing stock of the world. Jenny," he said, heart hammering in his chest. He wanted to cry, to call for mommy and hide away, but that would mean Alex would win. He reminded himself why he was doing this. "You want to play princesses?" Sarah asked. "I am Princess Elizabeth Prettyflower," she said with an air of exaggerated elegance. "Who are you going to be?" Belle," he said, looking at his yellow dress. "No, that's boring." Sarah whined. "Be a princess that's unique. Unique is a word my daddy told me, which is another way to say you're special and one of a kind," Sarah told him. John felt more embarrassed for his pick on which princess he would be. He didn't want to play this game or at all, yet he could feel those burning cotton candy-colored eyes on him. I will be, Princess Jenny," he said. "Of the Swings" was added. "Princess Jenny of the Swings, you are cordially invited to Elizabeth Prettyflower's castle that is over by the slides," Sarah announced. "I accept." With that, Sarah turned and began to head toward the jungle gym set. John hesitantly got off the swings and followed. He looked back at Alex, who was reading a book. He wondered if she was getting any sort of boost to her power from such a far distance away. How far was too far for her? "Farther than you think, little Jenny, for mommy is always so close to you," came Alex's voice. John froze. She could read his mind. "Calm down, sweetie, it is just telepathy. Now go play with your little friend." Playing princess was nothing more than climbing to somewhere high and then pretend gossip. "Did you hear of Miss Pattyworth the baker? She doesn't add flour to her pastries," Sarah would say. "I heard Victor von Victorson does not like tea," Sarah would announce. The small silly gossip eventually eased John to think up his own. "I heard, Betty, Wainwright prefers fish for a dessert," he said. "Oh, I have heard, she is so prude," Sarah would agree. As the two gossiped, John began to feel more at ease. He forgot about his situation. It was tea until a strong breeze would remind him of the lack of pants, or when he climbed down and his dress would billow out a bit. John was starting to have a bit of fun playing with this girl. "Jenny honey, time for lunch," Alex called. "Oh. I'll see if my mom will let me join you. We can pretend it's a tea party," Sarah said. John and Alex walked to their picnic spot, and it wasn't long Sarah ran over and joined with her own little snack. "Hi, are you Jenny's friend?" Alex asked. "That's Princess Jenny of the Swings to you, and yeah, I'm Sarah." A couple came by. Tony introduced themselves as Sarah's parents. "Oh, glad to meet you. This is my daughter Jenny," Alex introduced. John watched as the grown-ups were talking and the kids ate their lunch. John could help but watch as Alex seemed to have an unblinking gaze at Sarah's mother. After a time, Sarah's parents decided to head home, leaving Sarah in Alex's care, letting their daughter play with her new friend. "Either of you need to go potty?" Alex asked. "Yeah," Sarah answered. Alex then stood up. "You too, Jenny, both of you take my hand." "That's fine, mommy lets me run ahead so long as I don't cross the street on my own," Sarah said. "We hold hands when we travel anywhere, sweetie. It can be more fun," Alex said. Sarah did as she was told and the three walked to the bathrooms. When they reached there, Sarah was let free and she headed inside. Alex began to pull John inside but stopped. "Jenny sweetie, we are going potty, like big girls," Alex said and gave him a small tug into the girls' restroom. John kept his head low. He wasn't allowed in here. His whole life he had gone to the boys' room. He was still a boy, he didn't belong. He caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror, however, and he didn't look out of place now that he saw himself. As the three did their business, John began to notice Alex's attentiveness with Sarah. She was like an overprotective mom, making sure Sarah was all right. It wasn't to say she neglected John at all either, but she seemed more driven than before. The three left and once more Alex has them hold hands back to the picnic. The two little girls were free to play on the playground. Their little game turned to tag, follow the leader and so on. The longer they played, the more the better John felt. He hadn't had this much fun since his adult life began. The day soon wound down. Sarah's parents came to pick her up and the five of them stood in the parking lot. "Did you have fun, Sarah?" Sarah's mom asked. "Yeah, it was great," Sarah said. "All right, well, let's go home, we will have dinner ready soon." Alex stood close to Sarah and was pulling the girl close to her. "Can I have a sleepover?" Sarah asked. "Maybe another night," her mom said. John noticed Alex holding Sarah close to her. As her parents kept trying to get their daughter to follow, Sarah whined and pleaded to stay the night. Alex once more was unblinking and he began to catch a glimpse of her pink and blue flames flickering across their skin. John began to think she was planning on keeping Sarah. There was no way he was going to let her use her powers on Sarah the way she was doing to John. For all he knew, she was already trying. Sarah's parents were still trying to convince their daughter, but they were giving in. John quickly grabbed Alex's arm and did his best to pull her away from Sarah. "Mommy, I need to go, really bad," he cried, breaking whatever spell Alex was trying to cast on the family. Sarah slumped off to her mother and the three of them began to head home. Meanwhile, John was pulling Alex to their car. Alex opened the door and John climbed in. He noticed Alex was looking back at Sarah and the family. "They are taking my little girl, that is my daughter they are taking, give her back," Alex growled, her cotton candy flames flickering from her eyes and skin. John remembered there was a line in the summoning book about Alex. The demon is jealous of other maternal figures that could be in your life and will seek to replace them. Once more John thought quickly on how to distract Alex. She needed to care for him and tend to his needs. He quickly reached into the cooler they brought, pulled out a water bottle and without hesitation dumped some of its contents into his pull-up. "Mommy, please," John cried, holding up his skirt to show off the wet undergarment. Alex snapped her head to see John standing there in his wet pull-up. "Oh sweetie, could not hold it in?" Alex asked. John gave a sniffle and shook his head. "Can I ride in the car seat?" he asked, hoping this will keep Alex focused on him. "Of course, baby," Alex said, more than happy to treat John as if he was even younger. John was strapped to the car seat and they drove home. John was able to distract Alex. He made sure to remind Alex now and then about how he wanted to be a big boy but how he wet himself. Alex reminded him he was her little girl, and John rephrased his pronouns and he hoped he could be a big girl soon. However, he had been quiet for just a bit longer as they were nearing home. Once home, Alex was once more mumbling about some woman stealing her little girl. John tried to put the focus back on him. Perhaps it was because they were home. Now Alex didn't need to focus on driving and her wet little girl could be taken care of more quickly now that supplies were close. Alex paced about the living room like a mother worried for the safety of her child and at the same time a demon plotting to kidnap a child. "Oh, I know," Alex mumbled, "I'll just turn her mother into a baby, still cognizant of everything, and make her watch as her daughter becomes my little girl, calling Emmy mommy," she plotted. John couldn't let Alex free. He couldn't let her do whatever she wanted. She had to focus on their game. John watched as she continued to pace, fidget and curse under her breath, much more like a frustrated teenager than worried mother. And that was it, whoever said she couldn't be the little girl? John gathered up his courage for what he was about to do, stare down a literal demon. Young lady, this is not, he began with a firm stomp of his foot. Alex turned around and he felt the ever-presence of hatred from her charging down at him. He faltered, unsure exactly what to tell her. You should go to your room. Should I? Alex questioned, cocking her head to one side. John needed to stand his ground. She wasn't going to be moved easily. You are acting childish, go to your room, until dinner is ready, he demanded. Alex seemed to flinch, but she didn't move. You think you can talk to Emmy that way? John gathered all his courage and pushed himself to stand up to her. If he had to look up and shout like a little girl mimicking her mother, then he would. He strode up to Alex and in a few short steps was looking down at her and pointed toward her bedroom door. Got your room, young lady, now? His voice boomed like thunder, a tone he rarely heard from himself unless he was upset. Alex shrank back a bit, looking up at him. She gave a deep breath, her pale complexion returning to the crimson it was. She turned and sulked to her room. John stood on the hallway for a moment, feeling a cool, victorious sensation wash over him. It was more the feeling of him being barely dressed. His feet busted out and off the shoes he wore. His legs stretched the limits of his socks. The dress he wore was above his weight, showing off the wet pull-up that strained to keep tied around his waist. John got dressed in some casual clothes and went about making dinner. He wasn't sure if Alex was staying in her room or doing some demonic witchery. As he finished up dinner, he went to Alex's room and knocked on her door. Alex answered, her pink and blue eyes burning at him. Dinner is ready, he said. Thank you, Alex snapped. It was a silent and awkward dinner. All of Alex's work had been undone and John knew she had won that bet. Her plans to kidnap Sarah possibly foiled. After dinner, John decided to have a beer and offered one to Alex, and she waved him off. John began to watch TV, but it was hard to watch with Alex trying to burn him alive with her gaze. You can't kidnap kids, he started. That is my daughter they took from me. Alex roared, cotton candy-colored flames erupted around her. More of her demonic form was revealed. Her hooves came back. Chestnut hair covering her ankles, slender legs to which a tail coiled about like an agitated snake. John noticed that the tip of her tail was shaped like a pacifier with a white substance that dripped a bit. Alex's horns were out as well, they curled from the back of her head around her head like a circlet and curved up by her temple. She was taller, her horns almost scraping the ceiling. She is not your daughter. John stood up, still dwarfed by Alex, but he wasn't going to let her walk over him. Go to your room, young man, Alex said, giving a stomp of her hoof that demanded obedience. John, however, didn't budge. She wasn't the only one who can play that game. Go to your room, young lady, he said, giving a stomp of his own foot. The two stood there, a pair of adults on the verge of announcing a divorce. Our deal, our game, is between you and me, no one else, John calmly yet angrily said. You keep your hands off others until I win. Alex grinned, the brooning fire in her eyes as he void black slits of pupils sucked in the flames they also spat out. Or lose, she hissed. You are right, our game is just between you and me, and once I win, that mother, her daughter, her father, 3 more little ones for me to take care of. So, you are trying to turn me into a child, a baby, John said. Alex's grin stretched beyond human capabilities and she laughed. Flames danced about her as her clothes changed and a pair of wings unfurled. Her wings stretched out on long bony claws much like a bat. They were decorated with stars, moons, clouds and seemed to dance and change to animals and toys and baby paraphernalia. More so, the cryopatagium of her wings continued to drop last the ends of the wings into long sheets of soft fabric. Alex demonstrated her ability to manipulate and wrapped John up in a bundle of baby blankets. They even detached and regrew, ready to bundle up the next baby. John struggled to get out of the blankets, but he felt Alex's hand on his cheek as she stared at him down and sighed adoringly at him. "Oh Johnny, I guess I can't bend the truth at this point. I got flustered with little Sarah, I gave it all away. I just want to show you and everyone how much they need me, how much they need their mommy." "Yeah. Well, I think you are just a bratty girl playing adult. I'll have you over my knee and give you a firm spanking when I dash." "Ha ha 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 ha," Alex laughed. "Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, for helleth broke loose in here and I deal the cards. If you win you get shiny office made of gold, but if you lose I will have your soul." Alex boomed. Her flames erupted around her and she returned to the 5'10", crimson-skinned woman she had been displaying. The blanket covering Johnny also burned away. "Enjoy your beer, sweetie," Alex said, patting his cheek as she handed the bottle to him. "It will be a BABA of milk before too long," she said and walked out of the room. John sat down and took a big swig of his beer. The game was in full swing now. He couldn't falter now. If he did, Alex would be free to push her demonic will on others. "Do not think, however, that in my ritual I am not as terrible and powerful as any other demon," her words echoed in his mind. The rituals were meant to challenge human morality. Hers was a double-edged sword. Why in a book of blood sacrifices would you perform the little kid's one? Because it was easy and simple. What a laugh if you did get a demon, how much power would they have? These were thoughts John had when he first saw Alex's ritual, how her little trick worked on him.